Hello and welcome to Back of the Net and Beyond, where today I'm going to be speaking to Jon Fortune, who is a former professional footballer who played for Charlton, Stoke City and Sheffield United. How you doing, Jon? You okay?
I'm good, thanks. Danny, yourself?
Yeah, all good, thanks. How's life treating you at the moment?
You know what? It's strange times, but it's good. Got a lot of time with the kids in the garden, messing around, playing. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's a lot of bike rides in the forest and walks and stuff. So he said it's fun, but can become a bit the same old every day when you're waking up
yeah,
and know the day's going to be exactly the same again.
yeah, that's it. In terms of what you're doing now, just let everyone know kind of how you occupy your days on a daily basis.
Yeah. So now I run a sports management company, a football agency with an ex friend and colleague called Paolo Venazzo, who's an ex-professional as well.
Oh yeah, I
We
know Paolo.
yeah, we set it up probably just over a year ago now. Probably got about how many have we got now? Probably about 18 to 20 clients on board now,
Mm,
and looking to grow that. So yeah, it's been going well. We've been doing it for over a year by ourselves. We was at a different company beforehand,
mm.
and we took the leap to go and set up our own thing and go by ourselves, and it's been paying off.
Nice. And how did you find the process?
It was tough to begin with because
Mm,
it's a bit of the unknown to run your own business.
mm,
But we reached out to some people and got a lot of good help, a lot of
mm,
good advice, and yeah, once we've done it and we believed in it, and the most important thing is that our key clients,
mm.
when we told them what we was planning to do, they were all like, no, you guys go and do it. We'll back you. You know what I mean? We're not going to leave. We're not going to go jump and ship and be with a big race. So it give us the confidence that we'll keep our main clients, and
Yeah,
then we'll go on to achieve better things.
nice. And then so obviously when you were playing, was this always something that you were thinking about doing, or did you just stumble across it?
No, it wasn't anything I really thought of doing in that respect, and it wasn't something I stumbled across at the same time because I was fortunate enough. I had the same agent my whole career, so I had a guy called Sky Andrews,
Okay,
who
yeah.
was, yeah, and he was from my area, a local lad like myself, and our families knew each other. His brother went to school with my dad, so
Mm,
we were very connected in that respect. His office was 10 minutes from my family home.
yeah.
Um, so I was always in and around him. You know, what I mean, I spent a lot of time with him, and it wasn't until I snapped my Achilles that he actually started telling me, look, why don't you like he basically always said you're with me when you finish anyway. You're with me. You're with me. You're with me.
Mm,
So he's always ingrained in me that if I needed to, I can go down that route. You know.
okay. That's good to know because I mean, a lot of the times, I mean, we've all come across it and heard stories where professional footballers, professional athletes in general, when it comes to retirement, they're kind of stuck in a rut and they don't know where to turn. The phone stops ringing and all this, and they kind of had a thing in their head where they thought, well, because I've got a name for myself, it'll just be easy to transition. But it's not always like that. So for you to know that you've got that backing from Sky Andrew, and obviously the connections that you made during your career, that must have made it slightly easier for yourself moving forward.
Yeah, correct. Like you said there, because I've said I've been around a lot of ex-teammates, a lot of friends that like exactly what you said, get stuck in that rut and things creep in and money just drifts away from the bank account very quickly.
Mm,
But it was yeah, it was kind of reassuring because, like I said, he was someone who was in the top of his game. He was like the first real super black agent in that respect. So
yeah,
it gave me that confidence. Yeah, I've got someone who's going to help me, and I'm going to stay in the football industry. I didn't know at that particular time how tough and hard it was going to be, but I always knew that I've got a fallback plan. You know, for sure.
yeah. Did you get any help aside from the obvious, what you just mentioned, Sky Andrew, and obviously working with Paolo? So I know personally, I know Paolo in terms of just through playing football. But did you get any
Mm.
help from any organisations or kind of anyone outside the game who taught you the ropes in terms of setting up a business?
No, no, there was setting up the business come later on from a guy called or two, in fact, tell a lie. That was once me and Paolo have made the decision to go by ourselves.
Mm,
There was a guy called Tyson and Ryan, who you spoke to as well. They were setting up. They had set up their own company called Playmaker,
Okay.
and how they were about 2 or 3 years into it, and how they had left their old company and started up their own new company was kind of similar to what me and Paolo was going through in a different field. So they give us the confidence and the know-how of how to go about setting up your company. And there was another guy called Sam Slomer, who's an
Okay.
ex-player, and he's got a financial company called Be Engaged, sorry. And he helped us with the business side of it, getting the accounts, getting the banks, getting the shareholders agreement, all the stuff that we generally didn't know about at that particular time. He helped us with that. But he was a financial advisor to our clients, so
Okay.
it paid relevance to us,
Yeah. So you naturally had that connection anyway.
Yeah.
It's funny because obviously for me, because I know you not personally, but obviously we kind of grew up in the same era playing, and obviously your career kicked on and you played for Charlton for many years, and then you played for some other successful big name teams. So from the outside looking in, people may assume, okay, well, Jon Fortune has made a fortune, played ages in the Premier League and obviously Championship and whatever else, and they just assume that you'd just be able to just do something straight away once you've retired, and it would just be easy for you. Me personally, I know it's not like that, just because
Yeah,
I'm
of
in the
course.
field and I know people, I've spoken to people, like you can see it as well. But for the average layman out there who may not be aware of kind of the athlete's life and things that can happen afterwards, sometimes they see things and think, oh, you were playing for X, Y, and Z, and now you're
Yeah,
doing this. And it's like, it annoys me to a certain degree because it's not easy to get a job, and it's definitely not easy to set up something yourself. So I know the hard work that goes into it. So I mean, what in terms of obviously your transition, do you think were you expecting to get more help? Do you think more athletes need help? Because I personally do. It's one of those situations where we all know when you're younger and you kind of come into the reserves and you kind of break into the first team, you get organisations come in and they chat to you and they say it's more or less seen as a negative when it comes to retirement. Me personally, I always saw it as they're coming in, they're probably going to be telling me about a small percentage of you guys are going to make it, and then maybe think about doing this course or learning this trade.
yeah.
And for me, I always felt that was quite hard to take, just because
Mm-hmm.
I've got high-profile managers and coaches telling me they rate me, and I'll be in the first team soon or whatever, and we can see you kind of fulfilling the career here or elsewhere. But then I've got an external source coming in, they're telling me something completely different. I never dismissed it, but I always thought their approach delivery was not, it was negative for me anyway. I don't know what your
And like you
experience
said, it hits different people at different times, doesn't it? Some like you can. We talk about this all the time. The same message can be delivered by 6, 7 people, but that 8th person, you just hear it differently. You're ready to hear that message a bit differently,
was.
And I remember the same as you being in them changing rooms when someone from the PFA comes or someone they bring in from a football club, and you're a young man, you don't really want to hear them things at that particular time because you got
Yeah.
one focus, one goal, one agenda, and that is to
Mm.
be on that pitch and make it.
Mm.
So you don't want to have that thought of failure or backup plan or what I might need, because
Mm.
as far as you're concerned, no, I'm going to be that one, because if you don't think you're going to be that one, the hurdles are going to get harder to jump over,
Yeah.
So it's tough for the
Mm.
PFA. I know a lot of people don't like the way they do it. I know a few people that work within the organisation who are good people.
Yeah. Same here.
Um, yeah, and like I said, it's hard. It's a hard message to sell to people.
Mm.
So I know they're there. I truly believe that most people they can probably do better. But like I said, the people I know are trying to do good things there. So I just
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if certain players are ready to hear that message at certain time that they're trying to deliver.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's a tough one because I mean the PFA do a great job. Again, it just depends on, like you said, sometimes the timing of when they're coming in. It could be a situation where you've had a bad training session, you're just not ready to hear it.
Yeah, not ready to
When
hear
you're
it.
early on in your career or whatever. So unless you've probably come across someone who says who you can relate to and say, look, I was a player and I'm now injured. or I got injured and I can't play anymore, and now I'm doing this, so maybe you should look into it. That's a different
yeah,
approach.
yeah.
But
It
when you're
is.
just kind of up and coming and you're flying as such, and you're near, like touching distance within the first team, to hear that, it's seen. I used to always see it as a negative. I always knew that, okay, fair enough, if I don't hit the higher echelons of football, if I don't kind of make enough money to then retire and start my own thing, then I'm going to have to work. So I think that helped me naturally in my progression anyway. But I always think that kind of footballers, athletes in general, they've got so much to offer elsewhere in terms of transferable skills, but they're just not aware of it. And it's a bit annoying. And sometimes I think there's so many organizations out there, so many companies, big name companies, which are well financed and financially backed by whatever organizations. And I think if something was offered on a plate to athletes whereby if you take this course, and this course, at the end of it, then there's a job for you. Me personally, I think that more athletes would go down that route whilst playing, because you can easily play and study knowing that, okay, well, I'm playing, I'm going to try and make it as best as I can and sustain a career, but I'm also studying at the same time. And if something happens tomorrow, I could do my cruise ship and not be able to play again. I've got this backing whereby I'm doing this course or these courses, and at the end, I know I've got a job for me. Because at the moment, these courses are out there, but you get your certificate or whatever you get at the end, fine. But then it doesn't, you're not guaranteed a job. And I'm not saying that athletes deserve to be guaranteed a job, because obviously no one's really guaranteed a job. But if there's an avenue there that kind of says, look, you've got X, Y, and Z, and if you get those things, then potentially you're going to get a job here. I think more athletes would take it. That's what I think.
You know what, Dan? It's brilliant what you're doing here, because like it's exposure to younger players when they hear stories of people's journeys and what they had to go through, and how they succeeded in life away from football.
Mm,
What we had in the change rooms at them particular times was, first of all, you saw someone whose career finish was they were a dinosaur. You know what I mean?
mm,
Someone told you about 35 years old, 36, 37.
yeah,
That was a granddad to you when you're a young man. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
yeah,
you do want to hear that anyway. And
mm,
also, the only success stories I remember hearing was lads who went on to be managers or coaches.
yeah,
Sometimes you don't respect certain coaches because of what you're going through for training. So I don't want to I don't want to do that. I'm going to
mm,
go off and be X, Y, Z, which you don't know what is X, Y, Z, but yeah, I'm going to do something. And you don't really, when you're playing, I'm trying to think of success stories I knew of people that were away from football.
mm.
There wasn't that many. There wasn't that
Nah,
many.
that's the thing. It's a tough one. I mean, as a youngster, you're always trying to look up to someone. Although I was like very single-minded and kind of stubborn to a certain degree, but there was
Yeah,
always someone who maybe I'd look up to or want to look up to and think, okay, well they've done that. So in football, when you're trying to be a player, it's kind of okay. I want to be like that centre half if you're a centre half, or I want to be like
yeah,
that winger. Like for me, I was a winger. So, but in terms of success stories away from the game, it was always like you said. So, X player is now a coach. X player is now maybe a director of football somewhere. X player is now a manager, and I never wanted to go into management. So
yeah.
it was a case of okay, well, what am I going to do? I still potentially knew that yeah, I'm willing to work. I was never in that football bubble. I was never footballer first and then and Danny second. It was always the other way
Mhm.
around. But not everyone's like that. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's just about personalities and doing what's right for you. So it's a tough one.
Yeah. No, no, I remember hearing about Robbie Fowler that was winning away from football in terms of he had set up a portfolio of houses. He bought everything in Liverpool, and him
That's
and
true.
McManaman. I remember hearing that story. I
Mm.
remember hearing something about Danny Ward. Oh, not Danny Ward, sorry. What was
Darren
the
Ward.
Darren Ward, the one who's
Yeah.
at Bradford, yeah? He
Yeah.
was yeah, he was winning in terms of construction and building houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a couple, but there wasn't that many. You know what I mean? There
Mm.
wasn't that many.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but it's like you said there about someone said it to me. It was an ex. I was with Sky one day. We went up to Manchester. He was putting on he's putting an event to teach young people at college how to become an agent, and he asked me to
Okay.
come up and be a speaker with him.
Mm.
And there was it's a shame I can't remember the guy's name, but he was an ex-player that picked us up from the station. He was from the Manchester area.
Okay.
and he was telling me about he finished playing football, he got into XYZ, he done all sorts of different bits and bobs,
Mm.
and now he found a way into building football stadiums with a consortiums, and he goes out and he builds football stadiums, yeah, and he was showing me the stuff, and
Mm.
he was telling me like, look, John, as the footballers, he goes, we have got what they call the winning gene. He goes, not
Mm.
many ex-players know this or understand this, but we have something
Ah.
called the winning gene,
Mm.
where we've come out a pool of people that everyone's trying to win this rat race to make it in being a
Mm.
successful footballer or being a pro. So
Yeah.
anyone who's achieved that in life, you've beaten thousands and thousands and thousands of people to get to that particular space. So he
Mm.
was saying, he's trying to explain to me that you have got this gene that is used to winning.
Mm.
You just have to push that in a new environment to go win again somewhere else.
It's a
But
good
like
point.
people don't understand how to maneuver between that. The way he said it, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, because
Mm.
you used to hard work, you used to fighting, you used to
Yeah.
knock back, like all these things that happen in outside world.
Mm.
We've done this. It's just that we had a ball at our feet.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point. And this is the reason why, or that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. Just because what you just said there, a lot of people aren't aware. Even the simple things like we used to win it and we take it for granted. Okay, we've just won a game and okay, that's brilliant. But then you can use that feeling and use the energy that you put into that in another field, whether it be sport in another capacity or something completely different. But it's about harnessing it and understanding, because you can say all day, okay, I'm resilient, I've got good communication skills and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't know how to sell yourself, no one's going to believe you anyway. Do you know
Like
what
you
I
said,
mean?
you used to working in teams, you used to leadership, you used to so many different things, but it's just obviously it's an art form that was in
Mm.
a bubble of football. It's like you said,
Yeah,
it's how you transfer them skills.
yeah. In terms of obviously what you're doing now, what skills did you use? What did you take from football to obviously use to do what you're doing now?
So my one, so Paolo, we've got roles within how we do things. The Paolo is like the lead agent. He will go in and negotiate the deals and do
Mm.
all stuff like that. I found a role within myself where I was going to become the player mentor side of it, in
Okay.
terms of I'm watching their games,
Mm.
I'm helping them on and off the pitch,
Mm.
in terms of the human performance side, where what extras can you do to make yourself a better player. So the
Mm.
code that we want to stand by as our agency is that we're ex-players for
Mm.
players, and basically if you want to make yourself a better athlete and a better footballer, then we are the company for you. So that is whether you go to an athletics coach, whether you go to a nutritionist, whether you go to a mindset guy,
Mm.
all the things that can give you an advantage away from the training ground, which
Mm.
obviously you know about, you've been in that environment, and myself, is that too many players just go to a training ground, clock in, do the rounds, and come home.
Mm.
And I saw Tammy Abraham say something where, and I was guilty of it at times, but I did do a lot away from the training ground in my early years, and
Yeah.
later on, I where I was playing games, I limited how much I was doing, where I should have cracked on and
Mm.
continued doing that good stuff. He said something to, he said, when I leave training, too many of his age group are trying to be better at FIFA. I'm trying to be as good as I can to get on that game, or something like within them environments, you know. And I
Yeah.
just thought about, like,
Mm.
if everyone just 80% of footballers come home, have food, chill, relax, and play FIFA. So
Mm.
they're getting better at FIFA every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going up the levels in FIFA, but they're not getting any better in the training ground environment, or getting any better at their day job.
Yeah. That's true.
They're not putting the same hours in. They do.
Mm.
You do what, generally about 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, that is the
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
These guys are playing FIFA for like 7-8 hours straight.
It's crazy. I mean, that's a good point, and I agree with what you just said there, and obviously what Tammy said as well. And I always think, obviously, Chelsea, all the top Premiership clubs, and even Championship nowadays, the facilities are amazing. So, if I was in that environment, surely after training for what 2 hours, you stay behind even half an hour every day, every other day, just to do a bit. It's just because the facilities are there. I always think I've seen both sides. So I've seen that side of it, and then I've seen the other side where you're getting changed in porta cabins and you've got
Yeah,
like
yeah. I've been
mismatched
there with
kit and
you.
things like that. So
Yeah.
from that perspective, when I was playing at that level, I always used to compare it. And it was like, I'd still stay behind. And I'm talking when I'm 26, 27, 28, still stay behind because you can never stop learning. But it was always harder just because the facilities are not as good. Obviously, you need to try and get an early shower, otherwise there's no hot water. So that's another thing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
contest
yeah,
with, especially in
yeah,
the winter when you've got mud all over the gaff and that. And then
sure.
as well, you're probably in a car school with someone or a couple of people who maybe need to get home or don't want to stay behind, and you're traveling
Yeah,
2 hours to and from training. So all of those things to contend with in the lower leagues, it's a lot harder to have the mindset of, right, I'm going to stay behind today. But if you're in the Premiership or Championship and you live around the corner from the training ground and you've got everything made for you, kit's laid out, you've got fresh meals all throughout the day, there's no excuse for me.
there isn't. But you know what? They said we are brilliant as footballers. I'm talking about with my football head on that. Is that we find a way to make excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
we're probably the best at it, and because I know so many. That's what we do. We can find an excuse.
mm.
Or the balls weren't pumped up today, or the bibs were wet, or like we've
Yeah.
all done it. We've all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
win today, or I come and coach the sessions crap. Like
Yeah. It's
it's,
true.
it's about taking accountability for yourself, and
Mm,
the ones who do it in the lower leagues, they fly through the leagues, don't they? You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
they've got a different mindset, they've got a different determination, and
Mm,
it's yeah, once you've got that, you can carry through. You can carry
mm,
through. I think that I respect the boys who do it from the lower leagues on the way up to the Prem. I respect their journey so much more,
mm.
and I think they get a bit more enjoyment out their journey because their will to stay there is a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. Because they've seen the ugly side of it. So they're
100,
thinking,
yeah,
well, now I'm here now. I'm at the
yeah,
top, so I want to stay here as long as possible.
yeah.
In terms of your career, I'm talking because I know, but obviously not everyone knows. So you played for Charlton and you played many games for Charlton in the Prem, and obviously you had a very good career, a decent centre half as well. But in your era, you were competing against some top. I'm talking about in your position, some top players. You had like Rio Ferdinand, Wes Brown, Jonathan Woodgate. I mean, that's just four I've mentioned there, but there's probably
Yeah,
another
no,
10
that
or 15.
we actually spoke about not in terms of me competing, but we just talking about the level of centre halves back then
Mm,
and centre forwards compared to what it is now. So I was saying something the other day. You had Rio and John Terry and Sol that was out there by themselves on a different level.
mm,
Then you had like the Ledley,
yeah,
Woodgate, Wes Brown that was
mm,
and Carragher that was in a different type of level.
yeah,
And then you probably had like myself, Zach Knight, Anthony Gardner
yeah,
that were
yeah.
pushing that bracket underneath, you know.
Mm,
So there was a lot of top centre halves back then for sure. Where you look now, if you're an English centre half and you're playing,
yeah,
you're in the national team now. You know what I mean? If you're in the
definitely.
Premier League, you played over 50 games, you've got a chance of being around the national squad.
Yeah, 100%. How did you find it? Obviously, you're obviously buzzing because you're playing for Charlton at a young age, and I remember when you came through and you sustained it for a long period of time. But how did you find it knowing that you're playing week in, week out at Charlton, probably one of the first names on the team sheet, but then you never really got that. You never really got to the next level in terms of like England recognition. Obviously,
Yeah.
you mentioned the reasons why, and 100% agree with you in terms of obviously how hard it was. But how did you find it from a mental point of view?
You know what? That was the only time I really had and my one at that particular time. It was tough enough to try and hold down a Charlton role. You know,
Mm,
I was in and out for the first few years. Then I kind of established myself.
mm,
Probably about a 2 year period where I was getting like your 30 games a season,
yeah,
and then so I wasn't really thinking too much about the England because it was just hard enough trying to stay or get a place in the Charlton side for me at that particular time.
mm-hmm,
I had an inkling that something might happen with the 21s.
yeah,
Um, we were going to a tournament and I just not just broke through, but I've been playing in the first team. I got the first season I broke in, I think it was. They were going to a tournament at the end of the year.
yeah,
And like I said, I think it was out of like me, Zach, or guards, and I think Zach went to that one.
Mm.
And yeah, but that was the first time I had like a bit of an England call up, an England talk type of thing, you know what I mean? Because even as a young man, youth team level, I was playing up front. You know,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I didn't play centre half until my second year YT.
Okay.
Yeah, so it weren't one of them like I was always in the system
Yeah,
England.
yeah.
No, I was finding my way as a young man type of thing, and I actually really nailed down the position of centre half at 17, 18, and then I started coming into my own. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
That's
so from
massive.
there to get that England type of shot, it was like, oh, I'm going in the right direction. I'm having myself and
Yeah.
feeling myself a bit more. But
What was the reason
it,
then? Because obviously, I know sometimes you hear the story, oh, I used to play up front and then end up going to centre half or midfield. But what was the reason? Like, was there an injury at the time and you needed some cover there, or what?
yeah, it was as simple as that. Sometimes, you know, you always think, we might have to log back in it. No, just come in. That's all right. Yeah, yeah. So I was. It was a strange one for me in terms of I played a lot of positions.
Mm.
So as a youth man, I was playing in midfield, and then I was nicking a few goals, and then I went up front from probably about 15 to 16,
Okay.
and then first year YT, I was playing up front, but I was an August birthday, so I was a young lad in that
Yeah,
respect.
yeah,
I'm probably closer, we're probably about a year. It works out that I'm probably a school year above you, but I really should be closer to your age in
yeah,
football
yeah.
years. You know?
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean. Yeah.
yeah. So um, I had like, say for instance, Kemi Izzet, who was in my
Yeah.
youth team.
Mm.
We've been together from under nines at Sembrab.
Mm.
He's a week younger than me, but he's a
Yeah.
school year below me and a year football below me.
Wow.
You know, so I was always on the fringes in that respect. So my
Yeah.
manager always said to me, "Look, it's not going to happen for you this season,
Mm.
but keep playing, keep making a run because next year you're going to get a lot stronger.
Yeah.
You'll grow into your body and you'll be ready. You'll be ready. So
Mm.
keep making the runs." Type of thing. In the end, I started coming short because I couldn't run behind and beat anyone for pace.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the weird thing is that first year YT, I scored 7 goals
Mm.
playing up front. Second year YT, playing centre half, I got 12 goals. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I come into myself. You know, I come into my age now. So
Yeah.
it just shows what he was telling me was right. But then
Mm.
yes, but then literally we was playing. You know them boys because I know you were literally with Scotty and Anthony Allman and that type, didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So we had a strong group the year
Mm.
below me, and then second year all my years started getting released,
Mm.
and then, we was playing Norwich away, and the manager said to me, "Look, we've got no centre half today. You're one of the older players now. You're a second year.
Mm.
Can you just do a job for me?
Mm.
One game, just do a job for me." And we went away to Norwich that had a very strong team at that particular
Mm.
time. I think Bellamy was playing up front for
Wow.
them times as well. So I went centre half. We played there. I done really well that game. I think we nicked a win, and he just
Mm.
said, "Look, you was excellent there today. Why we got 3 games left? Just give it a go to the end of the season."
Okay.
But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, nah, he's trying to ting here because
Yeah.
he's got Charlie McDonald and a lad called Lee Howes
Yeah.
that have already been guaranteed pros in their contracts.
Mm.
I centre forwards.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the second game and the third game, I was like, oh, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I felt comfortable. I felt really good.
Mm.
At that particular time, everyone was trying to find like that next type of Rio type, someone who can come out with the
Yeah.
ball, um, step in between the lines and play. So
Mm.
obviously being the next forward, I could do that type of side really well. So
Mm.
it just I could read the game. I felt it felt natural to me in the end. So yeah,
Mm.
I done that, and then yeah, second year committed to it. End up scoring more goals at centre back than I did from centre forward, and then yeah, managed to get my pro.
Nice. And like, so obviously you've got your pro, and then you've made it through the reserves, and then you're kind of near the first team, and then you get the call for the first team. So what was it like making your debut?
It was a tremendous feeling because just before that I went on loan to, I think I was about 19 coming up to 20 at Charlton, and I was like, I'm ready. You know, you feel that time you're ready. And obviously
Yeah.
Curbs is holding us back for whatever reasons. but I had gone on loan to Mansfield,
Okay.
which gave me that taste of men's football and toughened
Mm.
me up and get bullied and roughed around and all that type of stuff that you need as a young centre half. So by
Yeah.
the time I've been there twice, to be fair, and by the time I come back, I've been on the bench a few times. So I've been in around the first team for a year or so. So I'm ready. And then
Mm.
we played first game of the next season.
Mm.
I'm on the bench again, which I've been on a few times now. Again, we played Everton at home.
Mm.
And just got the call up at half time, losing 1-0 at half time. Just got the call like, Forge coming, the gaffer wants you. Thinking, oh fuck, what's this? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he just said, yeah, strip off, you're going on. You're going on. And obviously run out first game of the season against Everton, and they had, lucky me, they had Big Duncan and Kevin Campbell up front.
Oh wow.
So it's
Handful.
real handful as well. So it's a baptism of fire. But
Mm.
I think we lost 1-0. I feel like I've done okay in the game. I've done well.
Mm.
I got the next day we was called in because we lost at home first game of the season. So the manager called us all in the next day.
Yeah.
And one of the senior players at the time, a guy called Graham Stewart,
Yeah. Yeah.
he was I remember it, like he come into the dressing room. He said, "Look, lads, that's not a good start. That's not what we wanted." He goes, "There's one shining light yesterday," and he goes, "That young man made his debut." You know what I mean? And that's,
Oh.
he goes, "That's the only positive from this game because he done very well." And then the lads give me a little of a round of applause, and it was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, right, like
You must have been
not
buzzing.
that feeling like you know your teammates respect and are having you type of thing." You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just set it off nicely from then for me.
Nice. Do you miss
Yeah.
playing at all?
Oh, we do lots of pitches to families and young lads, and they're sitting in front of you and they're 17, 18, 19 years old on the start of their journey.
Mm.
And me and Paolo say all the time, look, even with my career and our careers in terms of we went on to make it as
Mm.
professional footballers. I'll give anything to be in their seat again, to go and do that journey again.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah. It's a tough one because I love playing in that, but I don't miss it.
But yeah, that's a different one in terms of, do I miss it now? Because I suffered I got 2 snap Achilles from my career. I know
Mm.
my body can't do nothing, so I know that playing football, how much it can harm you at the same time. But
Yeah.
the thought of starting the journey again, I would love to do that again without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. I'll second that. I'd do it again as well. But you hear a lot of people when they're asked that question, it's kind of they either miss it a lot or they don't miss it, but they miss the dressing room banter. So
Yeah,
for me,
for
I
sure.
don't know. I'm a bit different because maybe because retirement for me was my choice, so I was in control. And
Yeah.
my first interview, and then I had a second interview with the same company, and I got offered the job. So I never really experienced rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's not the same for everyone. So that's probably why I probably don't miss it to a certain degree. I still think I can play now, whether I can or not, I don't know. Still feel
Yeah,
physically
okay, yeah.
fit in that, but it's just one of those situations. But yeah, I mean, so when you were growing up and stuff, were you always like involved in sport at all, or was it just one of them where you kind of got to an age and thought someone said, "Oh yeah, you can play," and then you just took it from there? Or
No, I've been in love with football from day dot. From day
mm,
dot. Lucky enough, my family's involved with football in terms of when I was a young man. There's pictures all around with my dad played like Sunday football for his teams, so I'm always in the ball in
yeah,
the pictures, little mascot one.
mm,
Fortunate enough, my uncle Leo Fortune West, he played.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, so he made it as professional footballer. Obviously, I made it. My little cousin Clayton Fortune, he's a
mm,
couple of years younger than me. He made it as well. So I come from a football family where we all loved him. We all grew up in the same streets in East London. So yes, for us, we were speaking the other day on a Zoom
mm,
to actually say, like, looking back, like, wow, like 3 of us out the same household had a career in football. You know, all at different levels, but we all had careers.
yeah. So you're always kind of in and around football and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
always, yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
I didn't realise you were related to Leo Fortune West because I think I had a short spell at Shrewsbury Town when I was like in between clubs, and I
I saw
think he was
that.
there.
I saw that there. I wasn't sure whether or not you was there at the same time. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
saw you had Shrewsbury. I wasn't sure if you was there with him. Yeah.
yeah, I was there for probably say I only played about 4 matches. I was like in between clubs and that, and I remember him
Yeah,
being there. But yeah,
yeah.
he's a decent guy as well. I used to chat to him.
That's my dad's brother. That's my dad's little brother. So me and
Oh,
him, and
okay.
we're 9 years apart. Me and him. So
Oh, okay.
funny story for you here is that I go on loan to Mansfield, yeah.
Mm,
And obviously, all they do is give you no sat navigation them times, and it's like here's a road map, find your way
yeah.
type. You know what I mean? The M1.
Yeah.
Get there, and obviously I phoned Uncle. I said, Uncle,
Mm,
man, I'm going on loan to Mansfield. He goes, that's not far from me. He was at Rotherham at the time,
yeah. Yeah.
and he goes, not far from me. Like it's about 15 miles or 20 miles, whatever it was. He said it's about 20 minutes up the road or whatever.
Mm,
I said, all right, cool. So I was staying in a pub hotel,
mm,
but he always said, look, come up to me, spend a couple of days by easing it. He'll cook some food for me and all
yeah.
that type of stuff.
Mm,
So as Curbs tells me to go in through the list of games I've got, you know what I mean? I'm there for a month.
yeah.
Last game is Rotherham.
Oh, wow.
So so it's a Sky TV picked it up.
Oh, wow.
So he's in the car. I'm living with him, you know what I mean? So I'm in the
Mm,
car following him to Rotherham Stadium, you know what I mean, in the car. And then obviously he just dropped me off and said, look, you got to go that way. I've got to go this way type of stuff, you know what I mean? So yeah. That was a special moment. That was a special
mm.
moment.
Wowzers. That's mad. So, I mean, leading towards the end, because obviously we touched on retirement and stuff, I want to touch back on that to close. So, in terms of obviously your company, just let everyone know the name and where you can be found.
Yeah, so we are two touch agency on Instagram, and I've got the website up and everything like that. So yeah, so we're up and running. We're running for a year. It's enjoyable work. You said giving back to the sport, but also like I get a buzz now from the busiest buzz I can get is when you're in the stadium and one of your clients makes his debut or one of the clients scores a goal. It's the
Mm,
closest buzz that I can have to playing again now,
mm,
which is a lovely feeling.
of course. I mean, as ex-players, well, for the players that you look after, they must look up to you guys just because you've been there and done it. So they know that the information that they're getting from you is kind of like is true. Because as you know, you make your debut and then suddenly the phone starts ringing and there's agents saying they'll do this and do that and they'll reel you in by saying, "Oh, I can get these boots and stuff," and it can be easily led at a young age. Do you know what I
For
mean?
sure. Yeah.
So obviously they must know that you're there to look after them. You've been there, you've done it. Obviously, any information that you can give, it's surely they take it on board.
Well, so you get ones who do and ones who don't, and
Mm,
even in the training ground facilities where it's the same as from the coaches that were ex-players or
mm,
managers that was ex-players. Like some players are willing to take on information and can take information, and some don't. You know what I mean? So
mm,
we try and pride ourselves now in how we recruit in terms of looking at the player's attitude, the player's mindset, his family dynamics.
mm,
Um, so are they making decisions just for money, or is it a case of they want to get better at their job and their career? And if
yeah,
it falls into the latter, then we believe we're someone that can really be beneficial to you and help you.
that's
Because, like
good
you
stuff.
said, the advice we're giving it ain't short term. We look at it upon that we're coming to get you at the
Mm,
start of your career, and we're trying to plan for 10 years. Uh,
mm,
every agent signs a 2-year rep agreement with a player.
okay.
We can't really plan your career if we think we're only going to have you for 2 years.
Mm,
If I've got you and I think, you know what, in 2 years' time he's probably going to leave us to go to another agent, or his brother's going to take a deal from someone, or da 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 da. Then the decisions we make are not going to be based on a career decision, because, like you said, it could be a case of two teams wanting you.
mm,
One suits your footballing style.
yeah.
One doesn't really. One manager suits your personality. One manager doesn't. But if that
Mm,
manager who doesn't is offering you more money and offering us more money, and we believe we're going to lose you as a client,
mm, of
we're going to go a certain way.
course.
And agents push players them ways without them even knowing. So we try to give that information to players. We try to give them the full SP in what, and be transparent with them in that case, to say we're here to build your career. So if you have to take a step back to go 2-3 steps forward, believe in the journey, believe in yourself, and believe in the journey.
That makes a lot of sense, and it sounds like you're doing a great job. All I can say is obviously thanks for your time today, because obviously I know you're busy and stuff. Good luck in obviously your business that you got there. It sounds like well, you're onto a winner there. Say hello to Paolo for me. I haven't seen him for years.
I will do.
And obviously, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. You too, sir, mate. You too, man.
No problem. Cheers for that. Good luck.
You take care. Pleasure chatting to you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.